You're listening to an AppleVis podcast. Hi there, and thank you for giving this podcast a listen. My name is Thomas Domville. I also go by the name of Anonymous. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to use Apple Podcasts on your Alexa devices. Now, Apple and Amazon have been working closely together to make things more integrated for Apple users with their Alexa devices. So in the past, we have seen Apple Music have been comprised and part of the Alexa devices, and you're able to access Alexa devices via Bluetooth with your iOS devices as well. And now we have the presentation of offering Apple Podcasts on your Alexa devices. Why is that something you'd be interested in? Hey, Thomas, I can already do that. I can already ask for podcasts on Alexa devices, but what makes this different? Well, I'll tell you what makes this different. For one, Apple bringing Apple Podcasts in part of integration with your Alexa devices, not only does it integrate something even more, but it also syncs with your Apple Podcasts across the iOS devices, meaning that every show that you listen to, everything that you finish or in a process of listening to something will be across your iOS. So if I continue something on my Alexa device and then I want to pick it up later on my iPhone, I can do that now. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is Apple Podcasts also present over 800,000 different types of podcasts and brings it straight to your Alexa device. Now, before we proceed on, the availability of this feature is not available in all countries at this time, so check to see if your country is eligible for this feature. It is a very easy process. Now, the first thing you have to do, we have a two-step process. So the first step, you have to tell Alexa how to use your Apple Podcasts. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then second, obviously, is using the actual Alexa devices to hear all the various commands that you have at your fingertips. So let's start with the Alexa app itself. This is on your iOS. You have to download your Alexa app, and we'll begin. And let's find the Alexa app here.
Amazon Alexa. Double tap to open.
Okay, double tap to open.
Weather forecast for Lee's Summit provided by AccuWeather.com.
Now, this is very similar process what we did when we added the Apple Music to the Amazon Echo. At the top left is the menu button.
Menu button.
Go ahead and do a one-finger double tap on that.
Add device button.
Now, we're going to swipe to the right until we get to Settings.
Settings button.
Once we arrive here, double tap.
Settings. Voice responses.
Now, we're looking for music and podcast. So swipe to the right.
Communication. Music and podcasts.
And double tap.
Music and podcasts. Amazon Music. Amazon Music.
All right. Now, I'm going to swipe until we get to Link New Services.
Link New Service button.
Once you find the Link New Services button, double tap.
Link Service. SiriusXM.
And let's go until you get to Apple Podcasts. Double tap.
Apple Podcasts. Star rating.
And now we'll go to the right.
Enable to use button.
And double tap on Enable.
Enabling skill, ellipsis.
And then once you enter your credentials, or if you already have entered your credentials, it won't ask for it. You're going to hear something like this.
Choose a default podcast service.
Obviously, we want to make this a default podcast service. When every time you ask the A-Lady for a podcast, it's going to use this Apple Podcast instead.
Set your favorite podcast service as default in music and podcast settings. Select default service button.
Double tap.
Default services.
All right, now we're going to go to the right until we get to the podcast area.
Podcasts. Heading.
There it is. So we got to the podcast area. Now go to the right.
Alexa, resume my podcast. Select default service.
And double tap.
Apple Podcasts. Button.
And now we're going to double tap on Apple Podcasts. That's what we want to make default.
Apple Podcasts selected. Apple Podcasts.
And there we have it. Now let's get back out of here just to make sure it takes effect.
Back. Button. Back. Apple Podcasts.
And we are now done. So let's head over to the A-Lady device here. Now you can ask for any of your favorite podcasts you have on Apple Podcasts. Alexa, play Dot to Dot podcast.
Playing Dot to Dot, a daily 5 minutes echo demo from Alexa from Apple Podcasts. Playing the latest episode, DTD 1068 alphabet game.
Dot to dot.
A new skill every day.
Stop. As you can hear, I invoked the podcast I wanted to listen. If you had never heard of Dot to Dot, give that one a whirl. You may hear me on from time to time. If you'd like to resume where you just left off, Alexa, play ... podcast.
Here's ... a daily 5 minutes echo demo from Alexa from Apple Podcasts. Resuming the latest episode, DTD 1068 Alphabet Game.
Today we are looking at a skill called
Alexa.
Alphabet Game.
Next.
You're currently playing the latest episode.
A profession, a
Alexa.
country.
Previous.
Playing DTD 1067 Pet Buddy. ... A new skill every day.
Stop. And of course, we got all the various things. So, of course, you can do Apple Viz. That's exactly what I'm going to do next. Let's try that. Alexa, open Apple Viz.
Getting Apple Viz podcast from Apple Podcasts. Playing the latest episode, Apple Viz Unleashed December 2019. Where are my flying cars?
And then we have it. Alexa, hello, everybody. Stop. Not only can you ask for podcasts that you're aware of and know of, you can also ask for specific categories such as give me the top-rated podcasts on travel, technology, science, food, and many more. So there's lots of different things you can ask her. So let's try that. Alexa, give me the top-rated science podcasts on Apple Podcast.
Getting science fiction rating system from Apple Podcasts. Playing the latest episode, 0127, Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
There you go. Alexa, stop. And sometimes you may get the Amazon podcast instead, and that will happen from time to time. So you got to be very specific. And so we'll just say Apple Podcast on the end of things. So that will make sure that she is using your Apple Podcast or the Apple Podcast skill that is enabled. Alexa, give me the latest technology podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
Playing the latest episode of TED Talks Technology from Apple Podcasts. Playing the latest episode, How I'm Using Biological Data to Tell Better Stories and Spark Social Change, Heidi Boisvert.
Alexa, stop. And there you have it. It is pretty simple to set up, as I showed you in the beginning of this podcast, how to set this up as a skill. And now you have Apple Podcasts as integrated a part of your Alexa devices. So that sums up how to use Apple Podcasts on your Alexa devices. My name is Thomas Domville. I'll go by the name of Anonymous. Until next time, goodbye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the community of Apple Viz. For the latest in resources and tips and tricks to help you get the best experience from your Apple device, visit us online at www.appleviz.com.